Saturn is going retrograde right now in the sky. It gives us this opportunity to review our actions, our karmas, and gives us clarity as to how our past actions and karmas have led us to this point where we are today. And when it goes retrograde, not only does it give us that insight, but it gives us the opportunity to correct our course. Now you can see this playing out in your own life. You can see it playing out on the world stage, right? So it's going to keep going retrograde until the 15th of November, and the 15th of November is when it turns direct. But on the 3rd of October, it will pop into Shatabishak. It'll continue its retrograde. 15th of November, it'll go direct, still be in Shatabishak, and then pop back into Purva Badra. This is really important because Aquarius is a very powerful sign for Saturn. It is Saturn's multrikon, meaning it's where Saturn can get the most of his work done. And what's his work? What's Saturn's work? It's Saturn's work to show us the fruit, to give us the fruit, the phala of our karmas. So it's giving us the opportunity to review and make changes before that flower fruits to its fullest, okay? It's a very important time. Now, Saturn will not return to Aquarius. It will not return to Purva Badra for another 30 years. So now is our chance to set this stage, okay? Purva Badra, it's ruled by the planet Jupiter according to the Vimshotri Dasha system. So it has some inherent qualities of wisdom and guidance inherent in the nakshatra. I will talk more about it, but I just wanted to give you the planetary rulership, and I might as well tell you the deity. The deity is Aja Ekapada, but we will go deeper into the deities and what these deities signify, because it's mystical and cosmic, and it is a great opportunity for huge change and transformation if we take advantage of this time. All right, so that's why I would like to talk about Purva Badra. Now, Uttarabhadrapada is the next one, right? Basically, the Bhadrapadas are known, they're called the happy feet, Pada, right? Pada is feet. So Uttarabhadrapada is where Rahu sits right now, right? And Rahu has been in Uttarabhadrapada for a few months. So we have Saturn and Rahu. Uttarabhadrapada is the latter half of the happy feet, or what's known as the funeral card. This nakshatra is entirely in the sign of Pisces, Uttarabhadrapada, okay? Purva Badra is 3 parts in Aquarius and 1 part in Pisces. So Purva Badra is like the bridge from Aquarius into Pisces. So moving from our community, moving into the end stages of transformation. That's why both of these nakshatras, they're a pair of nakshatras, have to do with the Nagas, has to do with the final transformation. The last 5 nakshatras in the series of 9, starting from Mula, the last 5 have everything to do with tying up our work in this world and getting ready to move on to the next plane of existence. So it does symbolize death, but it doesn't have to be physical death. It could be, but it's usually metaphorically speaking. However, it is the process. The whole Kalparush is the process of man's birth, and then his dissolution, his death, and then his rebirth, right? This is the whole, the whole foundation depicting the Sanatana Dharma, the cycle of the soul, Anyway, I don't want to digress too much, but yes, Uttarabhadrapada. So Uttarabhadrapada is the second part. It's completely in Pisces, and just as Purva Badra was ruled by Jupiter, yet in the sign of Saturn and Rahu, Uttarabhadrapada is ruled by Saturn in the sign of Jupiter. So there is this sort of parivartan or exchange happening in this nakshatra. Okay. So the reason I want to bring this up is because we have two of the slowest moving planets, Rahu and Saturn, in these two nakshatras. Saturn will not revisit Purva Badra or Aquarius again for 30 years. Again, Aquarius is the sign ruled by Saturn and co-lorded by Rahu. Okay, so Saturn and Rahu are very strong in Aquarius. Saturn is in the nakshatra of Jupiter. Now they are moving, in general, they are kind of moving this way. At the moment, they're both moving this way because Saturn's retrograde. But at one point next year, in the middle of April, they're going to conjunct. Okay, so now you understand the planetary lordships and where the Bhadrapadas are in the sky. So let's talk about the qualities, because these qualities, where Saturn is sitting in the nakshatra of Purva Badra and Rahu is sitting in the nakshatra of Uttarabhadrapada, the deity and the qualities of these nakshatras is what is coming up. It's going to be coming up in your personal life. It's going to be coming up on the world stage for all of us to witness and see. Now, of course, what is going to determine the strength in which these nakshatras are going to affect your life depends on, of course, where your natal Saturn is, what house Aquarius is in your chart, what planetary time period are you running right now. These are all going to have a big effect on how pronounced these transits are going to be felt in your personal life. But they're going to be felt for everybody in some capacity. Now, getting started with the deities. The deity of Purva Badra. Again, the Bhadrapadas are located between Aquarius and Pisces, the last two zodiac signs. They are literally translated as Bhadra, meaning auspicious or great, and Pada, meaning feet. So where are our feet taking us? Eventually, our feet are taking us into our grave. And it's just where we're all going to go. So in the Hindu philosophy and the Vedic philosophy, and also in the Buddhist philosophy, they teach us that this is the one thing that's known in our lives, that we're headed here. So let's have a very clear inquiry into this place that we're headed. So it has very much to do with not only death, but transformation and the possibility, the very real possibility, according to the yogic philosophy, of attaining immortality. Now, how does one do that? Now, this very high yogic philosophy in this Kali Yuga is very rare, but it's not impossible to find people who have actually achieved this. And the theory is that there is a energy that is lying dormant at the base of our spines. It is depicted as a coiled serpent. Here we go again with the theme of the Nagas and the serpents. This is known as a Kundalini energy. It's a coiled serpent. And it is to be awakened very carefully, because this is the life force energy in its rawest form. It's akin to, waking up a sleeping volcano. It can be really destructive unless you have trained through yoga to keep the channels in which this Kundalini serpent energy or this life force energy is to rise. If it is not conditioned and strong, then it can wreak havoc and a lot of destruction in your life. So it's very important that if you are feeling called to study any of these esoteric practices, that you have a vetted guru and a sangha or a group of people that know what they're doing and are in a proper lineage tradition that knows how to deal with such powerful forces of energy, the primordial life force itself. You can't get more powerful than that. Anyway, so this Kundalini serpent rises up the Sushumna, or rises up the spine, and it hooks onto a place in the back of the head, which triggers the release of what is known as Amrita, or the nectar of immortality. Okay, so keep this in mind as we talk about the energies inherent within the Bhadrapadas. The other energy that is like, you know, the macrocosm of the microcosm, in the Vedic philosophy and the Hindu philosophy, it is said that as within, so without, as without, so within, that the entire cosmos and the entire universe is within us. So anything that's happening on the realm of the gods in the celestial realms is also occurring and accessible to us from within our own selves. This is the whole practice of Sanatana Dharma. So the other story that is connected with the Bhadrapada nakshatras is the whole Samudran Mantan, right? The whole churning of the Milky Ocean, or the ocean of milk, or the Milky Way. And in order to keep things brief and not make this video too long, really quickly, you can look it up. It's the whole story about how the Devtas and the Asuras, the gods and the demons. Now, I don't like calling them demons because they're not really demons. They're more a manifestation of beings who are more materially oriented, that are more interested in things happening in the material plane, versus the Devtas, who are more interested in things happening on the spiritual plane. So the Devtas and the Asuras come together and they do this whole churning of the ocean of milk. They use Vasuki, another Naga, the snake that is usually around Lord Shiva's neck as a rope. And they use a mountain as the rod, which is also symbolic of the Sushumna Nadi, or the central spinal column. And they're churning this, right? And it's showing duality. It's showing the Asuras and the Nagas, the divine and the material, the sacred and the profane. And keep this in mind as well, because this symbolism of that duality is also inherent in the Bhadrapadas, okay? So they're churning this ocean of milk until, and all these things come out, right? The poison comes out, the wish-fulfilling tree comes out, the Lord Dhanvantri, the healer, comes out, Goddess Lakshmi, who's also connected very deeply with the Bhadrapadas, with Uttarabhadrapada, comes out, Mohini comes, all these things come up, and the very end, what comes up, lo and behold, the nectar of immortality is brought up and out. So given all of these stories, the internal story of the Kundalini, which is also a Naga or a serpent, or represented as a serpent, as well as the churning of the ocean, those are two stories which connect us, our bodies, to the divine. We have that milky ocean within us. We have that churning always going on within us. And if we churn enough internally, we can purify all of these things, all of these material things. The first thing that comes out is the halal. It's the poison, right? We can in any process of cleansing, the first thing that's going to happen is that the poison is going to come up to the surface in order to be cleansed. Then all of the materials, the desire, the wish-fulfilling cow, the wish-fulfilling tree, all of these desires that need to get fulfilled come up for the opportunity of our fulfillment. And the very end, we reach that place where we are able to bring this serpent up. We're able to bring out this amrit, or this nectar of immortality. This immortality rains down upon us. And we are finally God realized. Okay? That's the long short of it right there. Now, how does that tie in with the Bhadrapadas? Because this is an amazingly mysterious, celestial, as well as mystical pair of nakshatras, because we're moving now towards the end of our journey around the zodiac. We're going to start again very soon, right? When Saturn comes through. So the Bhadrapadas are also known as the funeral cot. They are opposite the Falgunis, which is the marriage cot. So in the marriage cot, we're also creating, we're also transforming, we're also bringing that life force energy into play, right? But in the funeral cot, in the Bhadrapadas, it's deeper. It is not a personal thing. It's a cosmic event that every living being, every human being, and every living being is going to have to face and go through. It is very important that we become familiar with some of its aspects, right? When we look in the sky, these Bhadrapada nakshatras are actually contained within the winged horse or Pegasus, which again is another mythical creature that is talking about rising up, right? Pegasus goes from the earth into the heavens. And 3 of the stars, the 2 Purva Badra stars and 1 Uttarabhadrapada star, are all in Pegasi, the constellation or the star system of Pegasus. And the 4th star is Andromeda is how I think you pronounce it. That star is literally another galaxy. Okay, it's our closest galactic neighbor. So this is a very, very, very cosmic star formation and nakshatra pair. Now let's talk a little bit about the deities of both of these and the symbolism of both Purva Badra and Uttarabhadrapada. Okay, so Purva Badra, or the front legs of the funeral cot, or the happy feet, the first happy feet, the blessed feet. You know, feet also have a lot to do with, in the Indian culture, of respect and humility, because we bow and we touch the feet of our gurus, of our teachers, of our parents, and it's a way that we revere the path that our teachers have walked on, because that is what has accumulated all of this knowledge that they carry. So Purva Badra is symbolized, the deity, and they're both cosmic deities, known as Aja Ekapada. Okay? And it is the energy of this fire serpent, or one can also it literally translates to the unborn one-footed being. Some people say it's like a one-footed goat that's climbing the mountain with 1 foot. So it is akin to fire. It is an Ugra nakshatra, meaning it has this strength, this tenacity. Ugra is something that's fierce, but we need this fierce energy sometimes in order to get out of situations that we have been trapped in or stuck in. We need that fire energy to propel us forward. It is also symbolized by a man with two faces. Here we go with that duality aspect. That duality aspect is encapsulated within this nakshatra. We are meant to transcend the duality, but not reject it. We're meant to use both sides of ourselves to churn our internal ocean, to be able to come out and transcend this. We use what is given to us. We are in a dualistic realm. What goes up must come down. This is just the way it is. We have the left and the right. We have the male and the female. But ultimately, it is one. So for us to be able to reach that single pointedness of awareness, of achievement, of transcendence, of reaching our goal, of climbing that mountain, we need single pointed awareness. The other symbolism are a pair of swords. And again, we can use the symbolism as we are trying to attain our goal, to cut off that which binds us, to cut off that which is blocking our path. And another symbolism is a single pointed ray of light. Again, that light is associated with the pitta, with Agni, right? With the Agni Tattva, the fire element that is needed for us to achieve anything. We have to push ourselves. We have to literally burn away that which is constricting us and holding us back. And with single pointed determination and focus, reach for our goal. Aja Ekapada. Aja means unborn. So it is one that has not ever been born. What's interesting is in Bhadrapada, Ahir Buddhiya is the undying. So you have the unborn in in Purva Badra, you have the undying in Bhadrapada, right? Both of these nakshatras together, like they form sort of what you can envision as the Ouroboros, right? The Ouroboros, or the snake that's eating its own tail. It is a cycle. So Aja Ekapada, going upwards, the fire serpent, okay? The one-footed goat. He's Aja Ekapada is in the Shiva Sahasranam. And wherever he is sighted, he is connected with Lord Shiva. But in Lord Shiva's function as Rudra. What is Rudra? Rudra is a form, a expression of Lord Shiva himself. Lord Shiva has manifested, many of you might know the story of this great column of light. Again, we have the light factor. This great column of light, which has no beginning and no ending. Just like energy cannot be created nor destroyed, right? There's no beginning, there's no ending. There's this very famous story of how Lord Vishnu and Lord Brahma try to find where Shiva starts and where Shiva ends, right? And Vishnu comes back, he takes the form of a boar and he goes down to try and find the end in the earth. He comes up empty-handed. And then Lord Brahma takes the form of a swan and tries to fly up in the sky. And he actually comes back and he says he found the beginning. And it was the first lie, the first untruth. And for that, Lord Brahma suffered, which is the reason why you don't see very many Brahma temples or very many people worshiping Lord Brahma in India. That's a whole nother digression of a story. So, okay, let's continue. Aja Ekapada, the unborn, the one-footed goat, the Rudra. Rudras are, there's 11 of them. The sign of Aquarius is the 11th sign. Rahu is also associated with these Rudras. The Rudras are seen as the storm god. Rudra is also quite energetic. It brings up energies, right? It causes disturbances. It causes emotional disturbances. It causes storms. It causes us to deal with losses. You know, it's associated with the teardrop. Ardra nakshatra, for example, is another nakshatra that is ruled by Rudra. And it's, again, opposite mula, the root of the beginning of these cosmic impulses is exactly opposite mula. So it shows this sort of whirlwind of change. And if we are not stable, if we are not centered, if we are not keeping the eye on the prize, keeping our focus on where it is that we want to go, that top, that height, that liberation, that top of the mountain, then we can get wrapped up in the whirlwind of the storm. So that's why it's very, very important to have this fierce energy of determination and forward movement when it comes to Purva Badra. And that's why it's a beneficial nakshatra, even though it's a fierce nakshatra, and even though it symbolizes the front legs of the funeral cot, because Jupiter is lending its wisdom for us to want to rise in our lives. Well, these videos are quite long, so I'm just going to put out a series, I think, of 20-minute videos each. I'm going to try my best because I just feel like there's so much to discuss here. So this is Purva Badra, okay? It's sattvic, and it's the spiritual fire of evolution and purification. See, there's two ways in the Vedic rituals, in the Vedic system, in which there's two elements we use to purify. One is the element of fire, which we use in the fire rituals, in the havans, in the yagyas, in our Vedic rites and rituals, right? In the marriage rituals, and also in the end of our lives, we are cremated on the funeral fire, the funeral pyre. So, Agni, fire, is the harshest method of purification because there's nothing left behind, right? It's just all gone. There's nothing left behind except the essence of that which is. So it's very much connected to what is known as tapasya, tapas. When someone's feeling hot, it's tap. I'm feeling tap right now. I'm sweating just even talking about this fire, right? Tapasya. What is tapasya? If you've ever seen the renunciates, the babas, the swamis, the sadhus, some of them have this practice where they're standing on one foot and they have one hand up in one arm up in the sky. They're standing there. They're overcoming the limitations of the body. They're burning away the impurity in order to be purified to their essence, that which never was born and that which never will die. Okay? So that's a little bit about Aja Ekapada and Purva Badra. You can see how it's so important with Saturn being there to redirect and let go of all the things that don't matter anymore, to cut them off, to purify them, and to ask oneself, what is it that is the most important for me in my life? Another symbology that is connected to Aja Ekapada, it can be seen as Lord Shiva in his form of the Lord of the dance of cosmic creation and dissolution, in his form as Nataraja, standing on one foot, surrounded by a ring of fire. Fire is creative, fire is purifying, and fire is that which can propel us into or symbolically transform us into the next chapter or the next form of our evolution. And this is also done through the Nagas, right? Because the Nagas, being serpentine, half divine human, half divine serpent, the Nagas shed their skin and they have this ability to shapeshift and transform. So that's Purva Badra, and it's already like, oh my goodness, it's already like 24 minutes. So I will stop it here, and then I will put out the next video, which talks about Uttarabhadrapada, and I'll try and put a link here somewhere for you to make it a bit easier. But this is why it took me so long to make this video, because there's just so much information for me to share. So I hope you appreciate it. Please hit like, share, and subscribe. And if you would like more information, or if you'd like to do the mentorship program with me or get a reading from me, please reach out to me on my email below, which is visionaryveda@gmail.com. All right, so I will pause it here, and we will talk about Purva Badra in the next video and how it all ties together.